It's Monday night, and you are in the Casual House.
Welcome to my house. It's my house.
It's Monday night, and you are in the Casual House with Earl Burnett, a.k.a. Casual E, and money-making Mitchell Hughes. And we bring y'all sports, Arizona sports, from our perspective, and, of course, anything else that is going on in the world of sports. Welcome into the Casual House. You know how to follow us if you want to follow the show, Kazual, and the Z is at the end of the word sports on all major platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel, all with the same tag, Kazual Sportz. Go ahead and follow us. Things are growing by leaps and bounds because of you guys, and we appreciate everything you're doing, listening to the show and keeping up with the network. We got a lot to talk about and a special guest in the house, so y'all stick around. And with that, you are in the Casual House.
It's my house.
What's going on, Money Making Mitch?
Just another good Monday. We got the Diamondbacks for the victory today. We got the Golden Knights with the victory today, going on to the Stanley Cup Finals. And we got Miami. There's 20 seconds left, but Miami's going to win here and go to the championship
20
game.
seconds left. Boston still got a chance. 20 seconds left.
If they score at 20 seconds, if they can score 1 point a second, they will win by 1 point. So yes, you're saying they got a chance.
That's Mitch in his Mitch form for sure, right there. But thank you for the update. And sorry, Boston, man, that sucks, man. I thought this was gonna be one of those knockdown drag outs. Here we go. Let's go at it. But one team couldn't handle the pressure, and the other team could handle the pressure. But before we get to talking about anything, man, we got a special guest in the freaking house here in the studio, in the Phoenix Studios, KSRN, the one and only co-host of the Easy Sports Talk Show and also co-host of the Believe the Cardinals podcast, my man, Javon J. Love Adams in the house. What's up, man?
What's good, man? I'm chilling. I'm in the building, man.
That's how we do it, man. It's the studio, bro.
I show up on time, man.
I'm not even saying. Don't even say a word, Mitch.
I mean, he did show up on time.
On time, man.
I'm in there going, where Jay at? It's 7 o'clock. It is 7:30. You told him 7:30. Okay, that's my bad. But I mean, welcome in, bro.
Yes, sir.
Glad to have you in. And I wanted to get you in last week to talk to your LA Lakers when they got swept out. But
yeah.
I guess that's like old news, so that's kind of something you don't really need to be worried about.
We need to talk about that then. We need to talk about it then.
So we're going to get some things we can talk about. Of course, we're going to go into the NBA. There's a couple of stories that are going on around the freaking NBA platform that Mitch and I have been discussing the last couple of days. We want to get your take on.
Before we do that, I think we have the most important question, though. Jay, do you believe in the Arizona Cardinals?
No. And Ed and I have been haters for, I guess realists is what we like to call it, because sometimes I've been a little bit more optimistic than he has been, but goodness gracious, yeah, I would say I don't necessarily believe in the Arizona Cardinals right now.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully they prove me wrong, because it looks like they're about to own the upcoming draft. Not so we'll get into the regular season here with all the other stuff, but the next draft that comes up, they're about to own it, because they about to suck, and the Texans are
wow.
too, so.
I haven't been able to get you guys' show because I've been doing a bunch of stuff, but I was bringing you in here to talk Cardinals with you because I know you guys get a lot of Ed has to do guest appearances and spots, you guys, and all kinds of stuff. So it's like, what has the show been like?
We taking it even with the OTAs and stuff like that. I thought about dropping one of those last second pods when the DeAndre Hopkins news came,
right?
Because it it's surprising. It just makes you wonder
Mm-hmm.
because we know that Hopkins couldn't be on this team just based upon what he's not going to do, meaning not going to practice.
Exactly.
There's some of the habits that he has. I mean, for an organization that doesn't mind having that free will that comes into place. If you're trying to really set a new culture, then that's going to be an issue, right?
Right.
So if you had a Super Bowl or a playoff ready team on the cusp, then you definitely would want to have Hopkins there. But for whatever reason, he's just trying to tear it all the way down and build it all the way back up because he's inherited just a hodgepodge of players with various levels of talents and maybe some backlog at certain positions as well.
What is your take on why they couldn't trade him?
That's what I wonder. So here's one of the things now, because I'm surrounded by gentlemen that are much more plugged in when it comes to whether it's baseball, basketball, football, whatever the case may be. But oftentimes I think when it comes, and I've heard this multiple times when it comes to football, when you have those draft boards, right?
Right.
So let's say you have a draft board from whatever year that is, and then 2 or 3 years later, there are a couple of players that you had a chance to pick that the owner might come back in and say, let me see your draft board from a couple of years ago because I want to know how effed up you are or what was the evaluation process. So I hope that Bidwill is saying that he signed off on it to say, all right, so you're going to tear it down. Okay, so you sure you're going to do it? It's like when, I've had a brother that I know that has come and hooked up my house with some things, and I say, all right, so you sure you got this? And he says, yeah, I got this. All right. It's cool. And so you have to take that deep breath because you're trusting him with the ability, what you believe is the ability of that person. Now, this is Austin Ford's first time being the GM.
Right.
So you hope that he has it's one thing to have everything written on paper, but to be able to execute it and be able to replace those players and to stick with that vision, that's going to be the challenging part, in my opinion.
Go ahead and give him JB stuff that you and him was debating on.
So we've kind of chalk it up to, I don't feel like the word cancer is right in this situation. My thing is, I think organizationally, this is more of a failure than anything. JB thinks that DeAndre Hopkins is more of a cancer. Like you said, you didn't use the word cancer, but the not practicing, all that stuff coming up.
Yeah.
I think for me, if you're willing to eat money, like if I'm the Cardinals and I go, hey, I'm willing to pay $15 million of this contract, I'll give you DeAndre Hopkins. Don't you think I could get a second round pick if I'm paying $15 million? Like if I don't care if it's
third, fourth, or whatever it is,
right.
Get something for him.
Right.
Yeah. Because having Hopkins in the building is you got that salesperson that he's going to knock out the sales. He's going to whatever. He's going to hit his number, but he always comes in an hour late. And then so the dudes that are mid range, well, if he can do it, why can't I do it? And then so it just messes everything up because you want that person to be the one that sets the tone and sets the standard and that standard that he sets. I think that's a little bit different. And then of course you have Kyler, but you're working with two different forces there. And that's why I think, especially the coach coming in, coach doesn't want to have to deal with, all right, everybody do this. DeAndre, you okay over there? Just make sure you're watching and paying attention so you can get this when you play, so you're not practicing.
Yeah.
I think that just
and see, that's where I come up with the cancer thing. I guess that's where me and JB are kind of almost leaning into the same direction. But the word cancer, like you're saying, Mitch, might just be the wrong word here. But I just think from a new regime, a new team, new management, new everything, and then one guy's going to have preferable treatment. He doesn't have to do certain things. That's going to be trickle down in that locker room at some point. Yeah. And so the word cancer might sound too harsh, but JB might be on to something when you talk about if we're going to keep him on the team. Yeah, he could end up a cancer in the locker room.
Quite possibly.
So
I guarantee that he might be on board for, let's say, from training camp through week 3 or 4. And then all of a sudden 1 week he says, I don't like practicing. And then now what do you do when everything was fine and now you have that first challenge?
And then you throw in a losing season at the same time. How's that going to turn out?
Hey, I know we're talking about football right now, but it's the same way that when LeBron came to the Lakers,
right.
And there was that season where he was trying, in his mind, he's trying to figure out the Lakers he wanted to get Anthony Davis to the team. So you remember seeing that picture of LeBron walking into to Staples Center at that time with a glass of wine. Do you remember that?
I remember.
He tapped out on that season. He no, seriously,
sure
he tapped
did,
out.
yeah.
He could have played, but he tapped out because for who, for what, as Bomani Jones would say. So it's the same thing when it comes to DeAndre Hopkins. He tapped out last season too.
He sure did.
He that he had the suspension, but towards the end of the season, what are we playing for, man? I'm good. I'm straight. And so that's all those things matter when you're bringing in a new coach and a new GM.
I think they do too. I think they're vital. I mean, Monty Ossenfort, Cannon don't have time to sit back and take chances on stuff like that. They got to get rolling and get that thing going in the right direction. Otherwise, it's going to be them in 2 years or less. But
you'll probably remember the year better than I will. Was it 3 or 4 years ago when they traded him for a second-round pick?
Was it 3? I want to say 3, right?
Right, yeah, from Texans.
From the Texans, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they gave us, and we were like, God, the Texans are the dumbest team in the world for just letting him walk for a second. We let him walk for nothing, and we made fun of them for being the dumbest team in the world.
That's a good point, Mitch.
And
I can't even argue that.
My argument with Jay, but not even an argument. It's not like we're fighting 24/7 on this. More, my argument is year after year, this organization proves to be a cancer.
Yes.
So I'm not willing to go on air and be like, Hopkins is the cancer. No. The Cardinals have been a cancer for 50 years or however long they've been here. Yeah. It's hard for me to say that.
And you're echoing everything the fans are saying.
To your point, though, it's these kids nowadays are crazy. Well, or these kids nowadays have no manners. Well, it's the parents that are letting them do that, right? So whose fault is it? So to your point, it's the Cardinals that said, nah, the way you behaved or the way you conducted your business on the Texans, you can do the same thing here.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do. And then a new regime comes in and says, we're going to have you change. No. I'm doing the same thing I always done. It's not necessarily his fault, but I would think that you should be, if you can read the room, you can see that I need to make some adjustments. And so we'll see if he's going to. Right. If he goes to Kansas City, I think somebody coming in like that, if you have a locker room that knows what they're doing, especially if you have that chemistry, whether it's Buffalo, whether it's Kansas City, I think those are maybe rumored to be a couple of the front runners.
Ooh, the Chargers would be fun.
Yeah, he would mess up that locker room.
I know, it'd be so much fun.
It would be fun.
Yes.
But he would mess up Kansas City for the same reason, because I think that you would have what Kelsey that would say, no, this is how we do things. Right. I don't care how you do things now. This is the way I've always done things.
Right.
So what do you do, as opposed to being adults and saying, all right, I can make some concessions and I'll practice even if I go 50%. But what's that hurting you?
On the other hand, though, I think Kansas City might be the perfect fit because it starts from the top. Andy Reid's going to be that laid back dude. He's not going to be that dude that coming in.
But he's going to want him to practice, dog.
I know that's
he
should. He should. Want him to practice.
I get it, because he probably even say, if you come here, I want you to practice, but it's only going to be 50, 60, 70%. It's not going to be the biggest deal in the world. Nah, this is what I do.
Right.
And I wonder, I don't know him.
Let me ask you this, Jay, and give me your honest opinion. I mean, I know everybody can have their own opinion about this, but how good do you think Hop would have been if he had been that hard-nosed practice guy like everybody else? I mean, where do you think he could have been right now in his career right now?
Not suspended for 6 weeks with a good start.
That's true. I think that we still look at him as a top-notch wide receiver, but think about how that can help your ability, your being in practice. You're doing those things, not only just coaching from the sideline, maybe encouraging your teammates, saying that you can do this or do that, or this is the kind of the coverage that you look for, but really being in practice doing that. I think that is the rising tide that lifts all boats.
Isn't that all come part of his value too? Like, if the reason I'm thinking they can't trade him, because you're looking at other teams going, do we want to pay that kind of money for that? Yeah. That's part of his value as well, right? I mean, and then you look out there, is he really a number one still? If we couldn't trade him for anything, we could get nothing for him.
Well, we didn't move him around at all.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Oh, we did not use him right. No. Oh my God. That's part of Mitch's argument. It's the Cardinals.
They didn't use him right. I mean, even when people would bring it up in the press conferences,
we used to talk about that all the time. Well, why are they just throwing him 5-yard hitches on the outside and 5-yard wide receiver screens? What, that ain't Hop's game.
Yeah.
So I understand also you're practicing, but I'm really looking at this roster that he's been on before, not just the Cardinals. I'm looking at the Texans.
Yeah.
this dude's prime was with the worst organizational quarterbacks ever. I
Right.
swear. Like,
Right.
Texans. I believe so 5 of the years he had 5 different quarterbacks and they were
Yep.
all garbage.
Yep.
Yet he had 3 of those years over 1,000. And maybe the dude's just tired of trying so hard
I guess so.
to just
man.
suck. But not that he sucks, for his team to suck. Like
Yeah.
the Cardinals in 2020, he did really good with 1,400 yards, which 2020 was a good year for Arizona,
Right.
right?
Yep.
That was their 13-3 year.
I think so.
13-3.
Yeah,
That's a cool
so
one, yeah.
did really good on that one.
Yeah.
And then 2021 went back down, and now he has 500 yards. Maybe it's just like, I'm tired of putting my body on the line for me to get nowhere.
That
Right.
that can be. I can definitely see that, because if you're being in the gym and you're working out, and you're still seeing your belly getting bigger and bigger, as opposed to seeing at least 2 abs instead of 1.
Right.
And so maybe that is because you have so many losing seasons or so many quarterbacks that you make great in the effort that you feel that you have to put out. So if I'm putting all this effort out on game day, then y'all need to make some concessions, and I'm not going to be doing other things.
Let's mention some part of that as well. He didn't mention Kyler Murray when he was asked about the quarterbacks he wants to. I mean, he's already played with Kyler, so he's not going to. But
Yeah.
I mean, when you're asked that question, who would you rather play for? You want to at least throw him in there and say, well, I love Kyler because he's my quarterback already. You want to at least give him some. Why did he not even name his current quarterback at time?
Because he knew he wasn't going to be here.
Exactly.
Everybody knew he wasn't going to be
And
here.
so now he's throwing
people
out there
assumed-
the quarterbacks he wants to play with. So
That's why
he
you
wants
got
that.
at least
He wants
some
that
pick.
star guy that can get him the ball and force feed him the ball.
They could have got a 6. They could have got a Brock Purdy.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just, I mean, but get a fifth round pick, something. Give me something.
They ain't even getting no cash or nothing.
With
some cash.
They got a big cap hit. That's what
That's
they got.
what they got. Yeah.
And I think that's why they, in a weird way, as this was happening, I'm thinking, did they just want to take the biggest? We are going to bottom out no matter what. We're going to try to see what we can do to grow some of these rookies, or try to coach them up. All these players that are on 1-year deals, we know that we know players that don't want to be here. We just bottom out and try to get our players in. I don't know how that's going to work.
I think a lot of it too may have had something to do with trying to change Kyler to be that leader that he's trying to be. And Hopkins probably is not that guy that's going to allow him to be that leader.
Yeah.
You know, with the new regime coming in, new coach, got a new voice going, and we got to keep this dude clean. So,
You ever been in those situations where somebody they is supposed to be a leader and they try to lead you and you looking?
yes.
I was out at the club with you last night, man. How you gonna try to tell me how to lead?
Yeah, I've been there.
And if you don't buy into that,
Right.
then that can definitely be something that prevents a growth.
What is your thought, Mitch, on Kyler Murray right now? I mean, we've been hearing that he's in the facility now. He's doing everything as he's supposed to do, like everybody wants to. Where do you think he can go now? I mean, he can only go up, right? He can't go the other way. He can't get worse, right? He has to go up now, right?
He can get worse. I see plenty of quarterbacks worse than that dude every week.
But your franchise got to
like-
give a $230 million too. I mean, he gotta be going up, right?
I mean, hopefully.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
but he's definitely not the 30th best quarterback either. Like, he's not. I mean, also, did you see Tua coming into practice?
Right.
That dude gained about 50 pounds
Wow.
from the looks of it. That dude's pretty big right now. So at least Kyler showed up in shape.
Wow.
I think with this new regime,
They're trying to give him everything to be successful, starting with that first pick for the first time.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
and if I'm the new regime, I'm walking straight up to Kyler. I'm going to learn what the guy likes. But Ricky Williams said it one time that his favorite time was one of his last years with Miami.
Mhm.
They came up and he was just bored, not really paying attention. He was just like, I just want to kind of be done. And they went over, gave him a marker and said, you look bored, why don't you start drawing up plays? So he actually drew plays and the coach put it in the game plan.
Right.
Like, he's like, not every play, but he was like, there was one play they put in. And he was like, that's when I realized the coaches care about me. If I'm that coach, I'm going up to Kyler and being like, is there a play that you're thinking in your head that you think would be really fun? And then, second quarter or something. Like, then preseason, I'll be like, all right, Kyler, let's go. We're running the Kyler play. Like, I'm doing things.
The Kyler play.
I'm doing things that get him, if he's an artistic guy, that get him artistically involved and go, they actually care about me. If I work hard, they care about me,
Right.
and I care about them, and that's how the trust is going to go.
That's good. That's a good point, bro.
Yeah.
Now, you and I have had conversations about this. You and Ed as well have always talked about the dynamic of having him under center. Now,
Yeah.
where's the thin line going to him saying, where are you comfortable, Kyler? Where you want to go? Like Mitch just said. And what if Kyler says, I want to be in shotgun all the time? What if that's what he said? But yet you want to get him under center because you know he could be more dynamic under center. So where's that thin line at?
I think both can be true, right?
Right.
So if he says, I feel most comfortable under center, and we say, okay, I understand it. That's maybe to Mitch's point, what plays do you like the best? You know what? But now that you've given me those, I'm letting you know you're going to be under center as well.
Right.
Because that's what's going to give us, we don't want to always go in to a game where the defense knows, and especially because they game planned against the Cardinals.
Right.
So they can say, we knew what you were going to do.
Exactly.
We know who you are.
Right.
I mean, and I think maybe by the time they faced him, was he already out by then? Could have been. But the point is that if you know what the team is going to do or what this quarterback is going to do, what his weaknesses are, if nothing else, you want to be your weaknesses closer to your strengths.
Correct.
And so being under center more and being able to hand that ball off, being able to have some things off of the bootleg and off of the the play action, that's what you want to be able to do. And this is what we're going to be able to see. I wonder if the offense is going to be pulled back because you have a gentleman that's coming from more of a defensive side of the ball, right? So what you typically find is that those defensive-minded coaches, hey, I don't need you throwing the ball down the field all the time. I need you to be able to, I want to get some drives going. So therefore, not more conservative than not.
Correct.
Is where that's going to come. So being under center is probably what's going to be able to help him.
Yeah.
And he has to buy into that too.
That's the key. He has to buy into it.
I thought my numbers were going to be completely crazy here, but it's actually apparently he was only under center 2.9% of the time. I was going to say what you do.
I was going to say 15%.
That's what I thought it was too.
Yeah.
I was going to say what you do at first would be like what you said, his confidence, maybe under center. Okay, first game or preseason, whatever, we'll put you under center 5% of the time. And then by the time you get to week 10, now it's going to be 10, 12% of the time. Then you get to the final one, it's 15, 20% of the time, or whatever you need it to be.
Yeah.
The numbers might have to be lower if he's only ever been 2.9% of the time,
My
though.
goodness.
But yeah, think about that's even worse than the K gun with the Buffalo Bills way back in the day.
My
That's
goodness.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he only has, I mean, when you look at the new regime and they're just he has this season to work all that out because nobody's expecting the Cardinals to do jack squat this season. I mean, at least I don't.
Yeah.
And I don't think Michael Bidwill does either. I mean,
he better not, especially he better
right,
not.
right,
He better
right.
not.
So we'll see. And then also coming off an ACL injury, you're never the same that first year. It usually takes now, unless you're Joe Burrow, because that dude came off his and went to the Super Bowl. So
Joe Burrow is the quarterback version of how what's my man running back?
Adrian Peterson. Yes,
because he throws because of what he was able to do. It just throws everybody out the timeline out for everybody else. If he can do it, why can't you?
Hey, maybe that'll tell us a lot about Kyler, though. If he can be that another guy that does that, that tells you what his mindset is. He is a competitor.
Mindset is different than what body's telling you. So I think that's where it's unrealistic. But yeah, to that point,
I've just seen a lot of guys when they come off that injury. The first thing they're looking at is looking down when that rush is coming. They looking down whenever they ain't comfortable. So I can see Kyler doing that. Like, I'm getting out of here, running out the side again, trying to get away from that pressure.
The mental aspect of it, the preparation.
Yes.
Because again, I think, what did he say in that press conference? You think that I could get this far with just skill and not preparing? Yeah, kind of.
Basically.
Yeah. It happens all the time.
Absolutely.
It happens in baseball, it happens in hockey, it happens in basketball, and it can happen in football. You get to a point where you have to prepare because everybody's catching up with you. That first year, the first year and a half, even first maybe 2 seasons, maybe you're having people backed up on their heels.
Right.
But now once they understand you, okay, we got him. Don't worry about it. It's a lock. So now it's what can you do to understand the game more, and those little tells, the looking at the knuckles, and you're seeing how he's leaning a little bit forward on his on his knuckles.
Yeah.
All those little things
that
looking at the film can help you to be able to
That's
interpret
a good point.
that advantage.
And speaking of injuries, there's a really cool story today in baseball. Just side note, Liam Hendricks for the White Sox was diagnosed 6 months ago with stage 4 lymphoma. Ooh. Today he came out and actually pitched after beating stage 4 lymphoma.
Wow.
So, or this was 5 months ago even. So like really quick recovery.
Nice.
And sadly they lost the game or whatever. But I mean, the cool story is the dude came back.
That's some heroic stuff right there, man. That's pretty good.
Indeed.
So have you and Ed done the predictions on the records? Y'all should
sure
say
it'll be
we
coming.
Skipping that, man.
Yeah. I didn't want to do it. We did the releasing of the schedule, and so just talked about what we saw, and just seeing that if the Cardinals had a somewhat decent roster, they could maybe win some games, but you just, because of the way the roster's built, it's just a foundation built on sand right now, because you just don't know what you're gonna
have no idea. Yeah. We got J Love Adams in the house here in the Kazual Sportz Show in the Kazual House, KSRN Phoenix Studios live. And we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back. We're going to have my man here break down a little bit of the NBA of his Los Angeles Lakers a little bit. And we're going to break down and see what's on the dock for Mr. King himself. What do you think about Mr. King and what he should do? You're listening to the Kazual Sportz Show right here on KSRN, the hottest internet radio station on the web. We'll be right back. Y'all stick around.
In addition to hosting the show every Saturday, did you know I'm also an inspirational and motivational speaker? Utilizing life experience in my 15-year professional sports career, I offer programs to a wide variety of audiences. Tips from the locker room to the boardroom and beyond. Whether you're a corporate executive, sports organization, or faith-based organization, Ed Smith Speaks can customize a team-building, motivational, and inspirational program to fill your needs. I love to come inspire and motivate your group to create lifelong shining moments. To learn more about booking you for your event, visit edsmithspeaks.com or contact me directly at info@edsmithspeaks.com.
When was the last time you had your awnings cleaned? What about the old stains on your driveway? Majestic Services has you covered. They're your pressure washing and window cleaning experts. With over 11 years of experience, they'll provide with a free, no obligation quote for your awnings, driveways, stucco, concrete, asphalt, pool deck, stone, and more. Give Matt a call at 602-881-8228. Commercial or residential, let Majestic Service do your dirty work. 602-881-8228.
Derek.
You're listening to the best internet radio station on the web, KSR Arizona.
Welcome back into the Kazual House. Earl Burnett, Mitchell Hughes, guest Javon Adams from the Easy Sports Talk Show and the Believe the Cardinals podcast. All right, man. Los Angeles Lakers, since they took over the dang on media wave after Denver swept them and still didn't give Denver no props the next day.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, man, on LeBron? I mean, we know that smokescreen of him saying, leaning toward retirement was a smokescreen to kind of throw everybody off and get everybody's attention off of one thing onto another. So what do you really think this dude's about to do?
Yeah, I think it'll come back, but I think it's interesting because one of the arguments that when you think about it, he's almost played 20 seasons. So when you just think, oh, you're just going to keep coming back, you hear that term over and over again, that Father Time is undefeated. But then there are certain players that we just think, nah, just keep on going.
Right.
But yeah, you could see in. When I give this analogy or this example, it's take it with a grain of salt. Is that you could see in the playoffs that maybe it was because of the foot, but LeBron was playing basketball like I played basketball before I stopped playing. Oh man, I see I could drive that lane. Nah, I'm gonna just shoot this three, dog. Because that three is easier than trying to drive the lane.
Right.
So those times when he would drive the lane, I mean, you can see he's not a small man. So it takes a lot of energy and effort to get there. You're getting hit and all that, and you see the success that it would have, but the amount of energy again that you have to use to get there, and what it just shows me, and I think it was JJ JJ Redick said this. If it wasn't, he said this in the last week and a half or so. That and something that we already know. Anthony Davis is not an alpha. He's just not that dude. So LeBron was trying to push his chips to try to say, "I'm gonna play with you." And Anthony Davis was probably thinking, "If you want to, man, I guess you're gonna get me paid, but I'm not that dude. You be that dude." I told you I'm not that dude.
Right.
So and that is what is come to that's what's kind of built to the surface, because if he was that guy, if he had that dog in him, it wouldn't just be when they were playing with no crowd where he was able to kind of overcome and be able to get the Lakers to, because he was the reason why they won that championship.
Yeah.
When we won that last
when
championship.
You just said that about the crowd, you just made me think of Sean McConnell. Shout out to my man Sean. He used to say, he said that.
Yeah.
He said Anthony Davis is only excelling because there's no crowd here. And when he said, I was going, what does that got to do with it? But now when you think about it, he was right on point.
But here's the thing. So that's why when I take umbrage, not only because I'm a Laker fan, but because I think that people don't give enough credit to winning in an atmosphere like that when there are no crowds. You're used to playing with crowds your whole life, so you feed off the energy of the crowd. And then there are some of those dudes that say, "Oh man, the crowd's not here. I can really ball out," because now it's just like I'm playing a pickup game.
Right.
And so that's, I think, where he was able to really excel, where other players really had they had kind of some, I was going to say mental issues. They had just some challenges to be able to get through because they were apart from their loved ones and just those fans and things like that. But I think LeBron will be back. The team has to change. Ideally, you want LeBron. And I remember when I saw this happen when Magic really took he took it over from Kareem, and Kareem was a secondary or tertiary player.
Right.
And that's what LeBron needs to be. But he can't, because Anthony Davis, if somebody hits him in the arm, everybody's waiting to see if something negative is going to happen. And so there's really that's what you would want to happen. So we'll see.
Looking at his future, Mitch, and I know you always have one of those takes that just take me to another level somewhere. What is his role next year? Is LeBron going to be reduced to a role player next year? Because the way he's looked at on that stage, he looked like what Jay just said. Oh, I might not have it no more. I can't buckle down and get that bucket and get to the rim like everybody think I can do. He probably can't do it anymore. So is he going to just be reduced to like I can't say a role player, but his role on a team is going to be reduced.
So I said this I asked this question on game 3 for Alec Thomas to one of the baseball people. I said, is Alec Thomas going to go down to AAA so they can work on his batting at some point? And he said the greatest question at that time, who's going to replace him? So who's going to be the lead if you can't get LeBron James to? Yeah. And to his point, that 2020 bubble was some of the most beautiful basketball ever. TJ Warren scored 53 points in a game. That dude never scored 40 before that. It was awesome. And then Terrence Mann scored 45
he went crazy
points
too. Yeah, 45
for Clippers versus I don't remember who they were facing. It was the Suns. Yeah, Terrence Mann scored 45 on the Suns. It was the greatest time to watch basketball. That time was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but when you look at the Lakers, you say who's going to replace LeBron? I know it's probably just that time they were just gelling at the time with the new team coming in, but they played better without him. Without them playing without him, they wouldn't even made it to the play-in. Remember when he went down with the injury and they started balling and they got that little run, got them in the play-in. So I mean,
it's a matter of Anthony Davis has to consistently it hinges on him because they signed him.
Right.
So now who are you going to bring in? Because if you're going to bring in somebody to make LeBron, again, I use that. I think using that Kareem analogy is appropriate because it was Magic and it was Worthy and then it was Kareem. Right. So if you can do that, and so it doesn't mean that Kareem wasn't scoring in the high teens or the low 20s. It just means that we need it from you tonight.
Right.
Because he can't give it to you 82 games or 60 games, but he can give it to you 30 or 40 so he can still be, especially when you get to the playoffs, and he can be of greater value for you for the playoffs because it's now truncated in there and there's more value placed on every game. But it's who are you going to get to either to either say to Anthony Davis, I'm the number one, because it's the same way that just because you're paid like the number two guy doesn't mean you're automatically going to be the number two. We know with the Suns, I think that Booker is clearly still the number one, even though coming in, Durant probably should be, but Durant don't want to be that dude.
Right.
Anthony Davis don't want to be that dude neither.
Exactly. That's a good point.
And another thing with your on the Lakers doing great, do you remember how long? Oh, Lakers started this. Okay, so he was sidelined for 13 straight games. The Lakers managed to go 8-5.
Right.
Do you know what the record was when LeBron came back? So they were 8-5, and then LeBron came back.
And if he came back, they want to run after that. But I'm just saying, if it hadn't been for that one little, they can play. My point is, they can play without him. It looks like they can play good without him. I mean, but that's hinging on Anthony
How many
Davis.
games remaining when he came back?
There was 9 games remaining.
And where'd they go? 9-0?
7-2.
7-2.
7-2.
So they actually had a better record when LeBron did come back.
Okay. But as a team together, they were all good. But I'm just saying, I don't know. Maybe just they can play with play without him. I don't know.
Here's what happens. So Mitch is LeBron. He's out for a few games.
About time I get some recognition.
Sir. And so Anthony Davis is saying, okay, I can step up and I'm balling. Mitch comes back. So again, he's LeBron in this scenario.
Right.
And then I say, okay, well, you got it. That's what Anthony Davis does. Oh, you got it.
Oh, and he defers. Just goes back into the little
That's
shell.
all you got it.
Man.
It's the same thing. I think it happens in so many scenarios around this country, whether you're white collar, blue collar. The person that's supposed to be the leader, they're supposed to be the best that's in the office, in this company, in this organization, on this team.
That's
that
good.
you
like
you know that you shrink back from that when that person comes back, whether he's on vacation or he's hurt.
We got to come up with a name for the club for that. The half-asses, the have-nots, whatever. We come up with a club for dudes like that because you got.
But not
Anthony
everybody's
Davis.
built
You got
like
Anthony Davis, AD. Let's flip that DA, and we can. That's another whole conversation.
But is that one of the things where when you look at somebody and say, it's looking at a kid and saying you're going to be the next president, that dude don't even want to be in politics.
Don't even want to be.
So
in politics.
what all I'm saying is that are we just putting the wrong labels on these
absolutely
on these guys,
That's
and therefore
good.
we're saying that
like
to them
that.
over
I
and
like
over
that.
again.
Shout out to my man Flex because he's always said that, and I have been that dude. He's supposed to look like boom, 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 and Flex would be like, that's not him. That's not him. That's not him. He just kept saying it, and I'd just be like, that's a cop out. What do you mean that's not him? The dude 7'2", he did it, and I would go all off and be like, dude, that's not him. He's not gonna be Shaq. He's not gonna be Soda. He's just. Yeah, that's who he. I'm like, man, I guess so.
I had Andrew Bynum, and they said he had all this talent in the world, and
man. All right, well, since we flip into the Suns, I mean, I know the coaching thing is going down. I know you guys probably been talking about that too, or if you have been doing any, you and Ed, any type of shows or anything like that. But what do you take today? Nick Nurse got hired for the 76ers. That was our take. We thought that was our guy. We thought he was the guy. And the reason I thought he was the guy is because I thought for sure that Matt Ishbia didn't care about a bidding war. He was just going to go, hey, we got the money. We're going to get the guy we want. But I guess that wasn't the guy they wanted. So I don't know. I wanted Nick Nurse from the simple fact of having the two superstars that I think he can coach them just as hard as he coaches the whole, the rest of the roster.
You mean you don't want Doc Rivers?
Oh, I love Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers. Mitch and I, he think I'm endorsing Doc Rivers, but I'm not endorsing him for this team. But I say you put some respect on Doc's name that he has done some things in this league. Period.
Yeah, you got to put respect on it. But I think he's somebody that can wear. I mean, if Chris Paul is here, let's just say for whatever reason Chris Paul stays around, I think Chris will say, hey, I've been there and done that, dog. You don't want that Doc Rivers. You don't want to smoke on that Doc Rivers pack, man. You don't want that. It's going to be interesting to see because now what the rumors or the tea leaves are saying that they're going to go with the first time head coach.
Yeah, it's probably going to be Kevin Young.
What does that look like?
Yeah.
But see, here's the thing: everybody wants to. You're always a suspect until you do it. Right. So before Doc became Doc, he had to coach the first time, and so when he coached with the Orlando Magic, and he did a great job, and so that started to develop the legend of Doc Rivers. But yeah, I thought it could have been Nick Nurse as well.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see because I just don't think that Budenholzer.
I don't
think that he
like
should
the
be the guy.
idea. I don't like the idea. I know Kevin Young is probably going to be the head under the front runner right now, I think. And the reason
Phil Jackson.
I would love somebody call up Phil Jackson.
No.
But what I'm saying with Kevin Young, the first time coach, that kind of scares me. The second thing is it's still the same voice and the same system, the same everything that he was doing. Maybe he has a tweak here and there with Monty, but I think he's the same voice to a point, because think about it, Kevin Young was in the freaking building, able to go and teach DA, teach whoever, as even an assistant, and couldn't get through to this dude.
So here's what you got to think about. Here's what you got to think about. So Coach Williams, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get it. Don't even worry about him, man, because he's a lost cause. I mean, think about it. So think about how if you want to take initiative,
Right.
just because if you're not the main person, there's only so much you can do before the person who calls the shot says stop doing that.
Okay.
I don't. Your valued resource. I don't want that. If you're that resource, I don't want that resource being spent on that player.
Right.
I'm not trying to say that happened. I mean, you're on the team more than I am. But I think,
point.
and so just because you're a part of an organization that lets somebody go doesn't mean that you believe in everything.
Right.
I've had some great leaders in different positions where I've been, and when I got a chance to be a leader, I was different. I took some of those philosophies that I thought were great, but then there's also something different about me.
Right.
I might not be as boisterous as somebody else, so I might be a little bit more reserved, and so that reserved way of going about things might be the way in which the team.
That's good. That's good.
Team,
so that's like a respect thing, because Monty probably doing something. He was probably like, I don't agree with that, but he the coach. I'm just gonna follow. Yeah. What you laughing at over there? What's going on?
So you brought up the 2000 or the Doc Rivers Magic, obviously, which was the year 2000, and I want to know what the roster was. I am now all on board for Doc Rivers taking over the Suns. Not really, but he had Tracy McGrady on there, good player, right?
Yeah.
He had Grant.
He had my man Stephen Hunter too, didn't
he? Not that year.
Oh, okay. He did have Stephen.
He had Grant Hill, good player, and he had the highest winning percentage Suns person ever. Monty Williams was on that team. Let's go, Doc Rivers! Let's replace it.
Was Troy Hudson on that team yet?
Troy Hudson was on that team as their point guard.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to say that's what I think. That's where people start to get it twisted when it comes, because then why would you ever? There would be any type of succession plan for anybody because you're thinking you're going to be just like the other person. No, I'm me.
Right.
If what a good leader should do is take bits and pieces from either people that they study or people that they work with, and I think that's what you're hoping for.
But can he be the authoritative voice is what I'm saying. Like, I mean, if the system coaches are all following Monty and that's the system, and can he all of a sudden take over and they respect him as, that's the leader? Because like right, the word out there is Devin Booker and Kevin Durant's endorsing this dude, because they love him, they know him. That could be bad too. It
could be bad.
I mean, it's just like hiring your homeboys. I know him, that's my homie. I want him, like they did with Steve Nash. We want Nash, and they took him and turned it. He had no control of that team.
Yeah,
and so it could go either way. And I'm hoping that this Kevin Young can be the authoritative voice and coach them hard, all as one.
Yeah.
But you know how when your homies are in there, it's not always like that.
Yeah, but and again, it's the way I equate it to is, it's okay if you try to encourage my son. You've been around my kids, so you can say, hey, Kendrick, let me tell you something, blah, blah, blah. But if you overstep, and I'm gonna say, hey,
right.
Step back, right?
Right.
So that's where I think when you get that, those are like a coach. So you say you're overstepping, step back.
Right.
These are my players. You just a part of my staff, right?
Okay.
But so I think he might have had something in his head or a different vision, a different strategy and a way to be able to execute that maybe he took to Monty, or maybe Monty said, no, that's not the way in which I do it. My 0.5 is how I do it, and this is my philosophy. And so he might have been able to jot those things down and be able to come up with a different philosophy that he can implement, and hopefully, be able to get him to the next. And you don't miss. I think it's, if you have somebody who's kind of a little bit more mellow, or a little more who's not as vocal, doesn't mean you have to go to the other side. You can still be able to have somebody who maybe has the same character or mannerisms,
right,
but that maybe just communicates a little differently, or maybe has those when you think about a heartbeat, that maybe that those times where that coach is a little upset, maybe that heartbeat is a little bit different, but they're still a little bit more mellow overall. So I don't think you have to go to do 100.
I'm kind of wondering if he could, if they do go, if it ends up Kevin Young, is DeAndre Ayton part of this?
Better be
part of the deal. You think I got a feeling that they got him on the docket of being pretty much axed, because I don't think he can be. Can they get something? Can the Kevin Young get more out of DA than Monty did?
I think it would seem to me that DA was probably not going to try to soak up anything from Monty. You could tell me the best thing. You could tell me the best restaurant to go to. I ain't gonna go to it. You could tell me the best advice to be able to. You could tell me the best fund or account to put for my child, and I'm still not gonna do it because you telling me to do it. But somebody else comes in and says that my wife does it all the damn time, man. I'll say something to her, and her friends will say, "Yeah, girl," they say the exact same thing. You right, girl. You right, girl. And I get upset with my wife. She'll say, "Well, she said it a little different." No, she said it with a girl bass voice, and I said it with a bass on my voice. Nah. So I think it's just a messenger.
But Mitch, the video I showed you in the press box about the DA thing when he's getting pushed around, and did you see the reaction from Kevin Durant and Booker?
Oh, just
I think it's trickled down to the whole team. Like, this dude is just like infiltrated the whole team. But we that's another story. We'll get on that another day.
We all have that person at work, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm playing devil's advocate here. I don't know how I got here. We all have that guy at work that you need him. He's not a good worker, not a good attitude. You need him there because the whole team needs to go and have someone to go against so they can work better together.
Man.
You need him there so everyone can scream at him. And it looks like you're all on the same page. And he's just like, I'm still here getting paid.
I don't know if it worked like that in
basketball. It
basketball,
does not
man.
at all. I don't even know why.
No.
I'm over here at, I guess they're currently interviewing Jordy Fernandez, and I'm trying to figure out who I want more, Jordy Fernandez or Young. And
I would rather, if they're going to go that route, then give me Atkinson. I mean, at least we know he's had some coaching experience. Give me that guy. At least we know what we're getting, that is not going to be new to him. You got guys that are coming in and they're going to be learning on the job, and you trying to get you got championship aspirations. That just don't mix to me, man. I don't know why that doesn't mix to me.
They're already. I was going to say behind the eight ball. That's why I paused because of what they gave up to execute that trade. So they got to do James Jones, or Ishbia is handcuffing or hamstringing James Jones. We'll figure it out. Or if Isaiah Thomas is making the moves, I don't know. Whoever's doing it, they need to figure out how to remake the team. We've seen a team such as the Lakers do it to be able to at least give themselves a puncher's chance in the playoffs, right? Or to be able to make a plan. So these things can be done. It just has to be. You have to really make sure you're hitting every single trade or that whatever that move is.
Right. Let's spend our last few minutes talking about what just took place in the NBA in the finals. I mean, in the Eastern Conference Finals. We know Denver's sitting there waiting for this. Well, now they're not waiting anymore. We know it's the Heat now. But what took place? I didn't get to watch much of this game tonight. Did you? And Mitch, you probably watched a little bit of it. What the heck happened to the Celtics? They got the home court and can't get up and battle and at least make that a game.
I mean, the ball bounces. Yeah, the first play of the game I mentioned to you when I walked in. The first play of the game, Tatum goes up for a shot, gets fouled, comes down on his. I thought it was his right ankle, and so that you can tell that it messed him up a little bit, right? So he stayed in the game, so he didn't go out. But it sometimes in those big moments, just because it happens, they've come through in these Game 7 situations before. This is one where they just didn't, and I think Miami will probably lose in 6 in the finals. But yeah, so you have to give them credit because they're not necessarily that quintessential number 8. I heard somebody I was listening to. I think it was Lance Meadow yesterday. He had somebody on from Chris Dudley from the Knicks. So in this might be more akin to that lockout season, that 54-game lockout season that they played, where the Knicks were that number 8 seed and they ended up making it to the finals because they weren't necessarily a true number 8 in that sense.
They're like they're like
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I was trying to think of the name of the team, and I'm just
and
stuttering.
that
That's a
might be
good
what it is.
comparison.
So
That's a very
it's
good
not.
comparison.
It's coming. At least they didn't. At least the Miami Heat didn't lose. Three after being up 3-0. But the point is that they're not quintessential number 8. So it shouldn't be that much of an embarrassment. But what I think that teams should do is try to give themselves a little more breathing room, that when they get to the playoffs, they're not trying to just to have such tough battles like this
Right.
round was.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it happens.
So can
man.
we get a good finals out of these two teams? I mean, Denver's look like they just been on a. Sometimes you can just tell when it's a team's year. This has been their year. I mean, they look like unstoppable almost with that big dude in the middle doing everything for them. Like, what
And
can
just
Miami do?
Porter Jr., man.
Yeah, kind of showed up like a little bit well over that. I always thought he was that overrated dude. That
Because his back was messing with him when the
Right,
Suns
right,
took advantage
right.
of him over and over again in those pick and rolls a couple seasons ago.
Yes,
That's because his back was messing with him. And
he looks like they would say he should have been a number 1 pick back when he came out. I was like, really? But he can ball. That dude's pretty damn good. And Jamal Murray's on a mission. I don't know what's going to stop him or who. but now you got a scenario that you got the Heat going in with one superstar and they got, 2 or 3 over there. How's he going? Jimmy's been doing whatever he has to do, but I don't think they got enough over there and beat that team time in 7 games.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think maybe the Nuggets will lose game 1 just because of the layoff.
That's a good point.
Think about
Was it been like 9 days?
Something like that.
Yeah, 9 or 10 days.
2 games
Either
for
9
8.
or 10. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be 9 by the time they get to Thursday.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when you had the Sixers that played the Lakers, and so the Lakers ended up losing that game 1, that step over game from Allen Iverson.
Yeah. Over Ty Lue.
After that, the Lakers got upset. So I think it could be something similar, if nothing else, just because of rust.
I don't think so. I figured out this is the whole reason why this series took place. There was a curse that was placed, and Horford did the down on one knee timeout.
I remember that game.
After that happened, they lost 3 in a row.
They sure did.
Jimmy Butler did it. They won that one. After it happened, they lost 3 in a row. So the whole moral is don't go on one knee and call timeout for the other team where you're going to lose 3 in a row. I think they actually have a chance of winning this series. So? I don't know if they do. I think they have a pretty good chance of it, though. I think defensively, they're a very sound team.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that they can stop the role players, which is everyone not named Jamal Murray and Jokic. I don't think Jokic can score 80 points in a game. He can score 30, 40 points every game, and Jamal Murray can score 30, 40 points, and the role players might only get 20.
That's a good point.
So I think the Heat, if they do their normal thing,
they can defend like heck, man.
Yeah.
The Heat, they can defend like, anybody. But, the matchups are going to be the issue. And we know they have nobody for Jokic. We know that. So maybe giving him 40 is probably the strategy and shut everybody else down.
And I don't think Murray's going to be able to drive as much as he's been doing. Bam's a good defensive player.
Defender. Jimmy's a good defender.
I know we had the difference of opinion on Smart, but the year that Smart when he played, that should have been Bam.
Yeah, that should have been Mikal. In my opinion,
that could have also been Mikal.
He was number 2 behind him. That was Mikal's
both of them
year.
played better than Smart.
Yeah, they did.
So I think Bam, who's their big man, can at least slow Jokic a little bit. And if not, whenever Murray comes into the lane, just put Bam there. Oh, God, now I have to shoot over 7-footer instead of just some normal float. Oh, God, that's going to change your shot.
Yeah, but who do they have to stop Murray? Is they can put Butler on Murray?
I'd put Butler on him, and then if
Murray
goes into it, then Bam just moves over and okay.
I would not put it past that the Heat can make this a good series, but I can't see them winning it. But the only thing that I can lean toward that would help me make that decision a little bit is the Heat have been here before. Jimmy Butler's been here before. He probably wants it a little bit more than a team that's new to it. Like, we're here, they're happy to be there.
If the Heat do win, it'll remind me of the the Detroit Pistons.
The Lakers in Detroit. Yes.
Detroit Pistons.
Yes.
Yeah, the Lakers were. Yeah, they were a mess.
They were a mess, man.
I'm
Karl
surprised
Malone.
they made it that far, but I'm not surprised that the Nuggets have made it this far.
Right.
But just saying that the Pistons played really as a team, and there was no really one star. We know that Jimmy Butler, and I think for that team it was a big game. What's my man? He was a coach. He's coach for the Portland Trailblazers, but. Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups was the man for that team. So yeah.
All right, well, let's shift gears because we know that's going to be a subject we're going to be talking about when those games do jump off. There's some new rules they're talking about changing in the NBA to flopping, as far as giving them a technical and a free throw, for flopping. Thank goodness they're trying something there.
as long as they're consistent with it, because it happens. So I mean, even. You see stuff that happens from an offensive standpoint. We're trying to draw these fouls when you see what Chris Paul will do, especially if you get that rip through. Yeah.
Could that be flopping him just because he rips through and they do hit his arm? So I mean, is that flopping? Because flopping to me is like somebody just falling back, trying to flail itself back like he got hit.
It happens a little. I mean, it's either one. I'd be okay.
Okay.
If they put it under that umbrella for those two, but yeah, some of the flopping just gets so ridiculous.
It does.
I can't wait because the NFL. I think we finally know what it catches in the NFL.
Do we?
We're close. I think.
I hope so.
But this is going to be that topic for like the next 3 years. Of do we know what a flop is anymore? Do we know we're going to go and watch 1,800 instant replays?
Right.
And it's going to be like, there's not enough sufficient evidence. We're going to keep it the way it is.
It's going to start slowing the game down even more, trying to find out if somebody's flopping.
Baseball games are going to be faster than NBA. I can't wait. Let's go.
Yeah.
Real quick, we got one more thing that's been thrown out there. We saw something we talked about last time about Eric Lewis, the referee. Give me your take on this, dude, because this dude's got a burner account. But I mean, I don't know if this was this a hoax, because I saw somebody put something up there that he's a Celtic fan, his family's Celtic fans, and when Jimmy Butler made it later, they saw him. Eric Lewis was like, they got it on tape, and I'm like, where did they get that from? And then they come back and say he was the ref when LeBron drove against the Celtics and they hit his hand, and he was jumping around Eric Lewis was the ref that didn't make that call. Then he came back and got Beverly for bringing the camera to him. And I'm like, maybe there may be something behind this. I mean, what's going on with this, man?
I think it's of course you want the refs to be impartial. They're fans of the game for some reasons. They're gonna love. They're going to be partial to a particular team. But yeah, if this comes out that I don't know what's the big deal about a burner account. Anyway?
Yeah,
it just makes you look silly.
We said that exact same thing. Who cares?
It just makes you look silly.
It makes you look silly, Dane.
Javon sucks. Javon don't suck. You suck because he's the greatest ever.
So Eric Lewis's alleged burner account has, dang it, the article just moved, has 0 followers, and he's following 5 people.
Man. Yeah, they didn't do nothing to KD when he made a burner account.
Just clown him.
But the thing that gets me, they saying the NBA is investigating. When I hear the investigation, something else is going on somewhere. Now, when you talk about that's his team and he's making calls to make a team win, could there be some betting behind this somewhere?
No, if that's implication in terms of when they're looking how he's reffing.
Correct.
But I think a burner account.
The burner account don't even. Who cares about that, man?
My husband is the greatest. Don't say anything about my husband. And we find out that that's his wife's burner account. I mean, whatever. I don't think that's one way or the other. But with there's so much money invested in gambling and all that stuff,
right?
That's where you have to really be careful.
Yes. Oh man, it's a joy to have you come into the house, bro.
Yes, sir.
It's been a while too, man. We gotta keep you on a rotation here, so at some point keep you coming back in here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us here in the Casual House. From Mitch, Earl. Peace out till next time.